Welcome to the Belief Breakthrough Show, where we believe that you can achieve the life you dream of simply through shifting your perspective and breaking through your limiting beliefs. With your host, Tina Encarnacion, the author of Stuck in the Fire, a story of resilience, trauma and abuse coach, an energy healer, and Reiki master. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming back to another amazing episode of the Belief Breakthrough Show. I am your host, Tina Encarnacion, and we have the pleasure of interviewing Ambila today. Did I say your name right? I feel like I butchered it.
You have. Ambila. It's far more easier.
She is a woman that is after my own heart. She is a spiritual advice, a spiritual relationship coach. And you guys know anything that has to do with energy or spirit, I am all about. So I'm so excited to hear how she actually brings in the energetic spiritual realm into relationship advice. And so please tell us a little bit about yourself, why you do what you do, what makes you so passionate about it, and how you are changing lives throughout this world.
Oh my God, so much all at once.
Right?
Okay, let's break it down. So what do? I am a spiritual dating and relationship coach. So I'm all about helping people to find them a partner. And when I say find them a partner, I'm not doing any matchmaking. So I'm just helping them to look really inwardly in what's been blocking them from finding love, and really look into their past and their past relationships. So that kind of encompasses the spiritual part, because what I do is a lot more deep work as opposed to just surface work of, okay, let's get you out dating and we'll get you finding the man, woman, or, whatever partner you're looking for. It's more about, okay, what's been stopping you? What have been your traumas? What has been your energy blocks? What have been your mental, emotional blocks? So we're going a lot more deeper into the work, and hence why I call myself the spiritual. But because I'm also an energy healer and tarot reader, I bring those into my coaching as well. So that helps to benefit the clients in getting a deeper cleanse, deeper detox out of, the whole coaching process. And hopefully what that does is clears the energy, so that where you get stuck with people going, oh, but I keep on attracting the same person and I don't know why, we clear those blocks so that you're not attracting that same energy. You can actually identify that energy. And I've been passionate about people understanding people since I was a teenager. And it's always been at the logical level of, the psychology, the body language, how people talk, how they interact, what everything means. And as I got into coaching, it started going deeper into the psychology of understanding all of that. But the spirituality part, I was always intrigued, as I suppose a lot of people are, in terms of getting tarot readings, palmistry, wanting to know your future, all of that. But I never kind of put myself in that place that I would be that person doing it for others. And I think as my coaching and I developed, the spiritual side of me began to open up. And I started to actually do work, well, not give workshops, but actually attend workshops, help get somebody to help me trust my intuition, teach me ways of tapping into that element of me. And, I did Reiki. I really began to kind of, I suppose, experiment in terms of, all the different aspects of spirituality in a human being, and really kind of look into what works for me. And to the point where it just became second nature. So now I don't have to think about it. It's just like switching between, two languages. And it's something, that's just a part of me. But I love it. I love that whole part of being able to go that deep, with a person, as opposed to just be all about the talking and, let's see what's been going on. So, yeah. And my clients love it. They benefit so much from it too.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you talked about trusting your intuition, because so many of us, like me, I didn't even embrace my intuition either. It took months, about 9 months, for someone to convince me to go see a psychic medium after my daughter passed away, to just kind of connect and just close that loop, and begin that healing process of grieving her loss. And it was at meeting that psychic medium that she said, well, you're very intuitive yourself. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, because I had shut it down. And so she actually did work with me to really trust my intuition and open up and listen to my intuition. And then through the Reiki energy healing, I went to a Reiki energy healer myself to be healed. And now I'm a Reiki master teacher because it was so life changing for me. But through trusting the intuition and allowing it to lead my healing process, it created me to be who I am today and to be the healer that I am today. And so I think that with what you said, as in trusting your intuition, I think that's huge, that a lot of people need to hear, because we deny it. We deny trusting that intuition, and understanding that you do have to trust it to be able to hear it.
Exactly. And just to interject, sorry to hear of your loss. But I completely agree. In we are brought up in a logical world, and we're not taught to really trust that there's something more than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taught, from a young age, and especially the generations we've grown up with. I think, our children, grandchildren will be in a different era,
Oh, absolutely.
different maybe mindset, way of thinking, but certainly the way we were brought up, kind of like a generation that came from war, or a generation that came from just post-war. So from that there, all of those kinds of things didn't really exist, and if they did, then they were like, oh my god, they're so out there, this person's a witch, or something or other like that. And those beliefs didn't exist in the Western culture, or that mindset. So my journey in itself, I grew up in a very logical cultural background. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, we loved all the palmistry and getting your readings done and stuff like that. But for somebody to kind of say to me, "Oh, do you know that you're a healer?" or exactly as you were saying that, what about your intuition? One, nobody actually ever said that to me. I think something within me was kind of always tapping at my door. And I think it was until I started to kind of go, you know what, let me just try this, that somebody then said, oh, yeah, I can help you. But prior to that, I don't think I ever came across anybody who said, do you know you're intuitive, or you could do this? Because I lived in a very logical society, and, people and work, and I just was not exposed to that way of life. And I think so many people, even now, a majority of my friends live in that world. That it took them some getting used to, regarding what I do, especially when I fully came out. That, yes, I've got the logical part, and then I've got this intuitive part. And they embraced it. They didn't think of me as, whoa, oh my God, I can't be friends with you. You must be weird. But yeah, but we do. And I think we always will struggle with that part, because it's that coming to terms with, I suppose, the same concept of, do you believe in UFOs? It's coming to terms with that there is something so much more bigger in this world than just you.
Absolutely. And then also, when you open yourself up to the intuitive world, you bring in a whole new tool set of how to approach life. And so I think when you start to embrace that intuition and things start to open up, it's almost like a rose opening up, right? You kind of look at a rose and you're like, oh, it's really beautiful, but you don't know what's in the middle. And so once the petals start to open and reveal the middle, you're like, oh, there's so many more layers to this. And so once you start to embrace that spirituality, or that intuition, or whatever you want to call it, so much more in this world opens up, right? And you can use those tools. So I like to say people live unconsciously. We just kind of go around, and whatever we see is our reality, right? If you can't see it, it's not there. But once you start to tap into the unseen, to tap into that spirituality, to tap into that realm of intuition or possibility, then things open. and you see people living consciously, where they're tapping into those intuitive tools, where they're tapping into that spirituality, where their intuition is revealing the damage and the pain that they've taken on, and helps them to relieve it and move it on, so they can find relationships like you help people do. You have that intuitive tool set. I like to say it's my toolbox. So when there's something energetically blocking me, my intuition lets me know this is an energetic block. It's not a physical block. We need to work through this. And I can pull those intuitive tools in, like blowing pictures. And when I say blowing pictures, it's like a programming that's been set from childhood is blocking me from moving forward in life. And I see that childhood picture and I'm able to blow it up and move forward. Those intuitive tool sets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, completely.
So how do you show your clients that may be living unconsciously how to become conscious of the spirituality or the intuitive realm to help them move forward?
A lot of the clients I attract from the onset know how I work, because I tell them before they start working with me. I don't immediately start working with somebody just because they can pay me the money. It's very much about having that connection, knowing that the person is ready to do the work and move forward, because otherwise I'm wasting my time and their time. And so because they have that awareness of the kind of work I will be doing with them, they don't necessarily have to be completely open to spirituality or understanding what it's all about, but they certainly need to, in any coaching terms, be open to doing the work and making that change happen. So that's kind of the base of the starting. But in terms of how they manifest or they start to trust in their intuition, it's very much to do with the work that we start doing together, because we're peeling the layers, and because or rather I am teaching them to go deeper in themselves. They are on a conscious level getting in touch with their intuition without realizing that that's what they're doing. And then it's kind of like with anything. Actually, I had this quote I was discussing with a friend of mine just yesterday, Maya Angelou, where she says, "When you know better, you do better." So it's the same with regards to your intuition and work, that when you know it, then you'll basically be open to it. But if you aren't aware of it and nobody's taught you or guided you, like I had that journey, then how on earth are you going to know what it is that you're looking for? So part of that journey is actually helping them to tap into, their voice, their gut, whatever they want to call it, and begin to trust that more. And part of the process is because we're looking deep into their history, deep into themselves, and maybe kind of acknowledging the parts where something within them said, no, don't go for him. He's not going to be right for you. And you're like, no, but I can change him. It'd be fine. I can make it work. And it's kind of going, well, you did hear that voice. You just chose not to listen to it. So when you kind of give them that awareness, then I'm like, oh God, yeah, there was something that said, no, I shouldn't go there, but I did. And hence why I keep on repeating that pattern. So it's just about taking them through that journey and teaching them what it is, giving them examples within their own lives so they can identify with it. And then, slowly kind of guiding them through the journey, because they're working with me for a 12, week minimum. So through that, time where I'm at different points touching into their intuition and really questioning them and kind of bringing stuff out. So by the end of it, they'll kind of like have a good idea of what, that part of them is and how they can tap into it.
That's awesome. I do that too for 12 weeks. It takes about 12 weeks to really coach through the blocks.
Yeah.
I find that people, the clients that I tend to attract are the people that don't know how to love themselves or accept themselves for who they are. Yeah. And it's because they're denying that spiritual realm, that spiritual part of them. And so really just opening up their eyes to, this is a piece of you too. You're not just a physical body. There's a spiritual realm to you as well. And you need to tap into that.
Exactly. But sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead. Huh.
But it's also showing them that actually when you do get in contact with that part of you, life is far more simpler than the struggle that we have, because we're not trying to control. That what I found with because, as I said, I'm a tarot reader as well as an individual energy healer. So through the different divisions and as a joint, what I found is that people try to control the outcome. They have expectations on how things should be. And those are all things that are blocking that intuition from, you trusting that intuition or moving forward. So it's teaching them that actually, and even I have to check myself, and I'm, the coach and I'm the teacher, but I have to continuously check myself in that as well, that when I trust my intuition and trust what I'm being guided to do, my life is so much more smoother. Things come to me far more simpler with what seems like least effort. It's not that I'm not putting the effort in, but it doesn't feel like a struggle. It doesn't feel frustrating. It doesn't feel like, oh, for God's sake, why isn't it happening? It's more like, oh, I've opened a page and, oh, all of a sudden, I've got what I need, or, and it's like, oh, I just contact that person, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. Whereas when I'm trying to control that situation, it takes longer for me to get to that path than if I just kind of went, you know what, let's just go with the flow and just deal with things as they come. So it's also a path of that, teaching them, relating to that, and especially where relationships are concerned. Because yes, I'm a relationship coach, and yes, we go through this 12 week program. But I clearly say to people, I'm not saying that by, end of week 12, you're going to find your ideal Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, whatever. All I'm doing is saying to you that you will be so much more equipped in knowing and getting yourself on that path and trusting, that the people that you're meeting and interacting with, rather than it being a guarantee that this is the way life will be. Because again, it's about allowing it to flow rather than controlling it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is with our spiritual being, it's more knowing. It's your higher, they say it's your higher self for a reason, because you're up there spiritually in the realms with the divine, right? And physically we're down here. When in the physical body, we can't go up there. We can't climb up there. So we have to connect with both physical and spiritual self to be able to get that guidance and get that leading. And that's why it's easier. Life flows easier because your physical body is no longer trying to control the outcome. You're allowing your spiritual, all-knowing body to step in and go, okay, this is where we're supposed to be headed, and not to fight the outcome any longer. And I think that that's the problem, is the physical body of self is wanting to control it because they don't see the future. Whereas our spiritual body sees the future and knows where we need to head. And so it's a push and a pull. When you're denying your spirituality, then you're denying the outcome.
But you have to remember that. Yeah, exactly. But you have to remember that in everybody's journey, not everybody, like I was not surrounded by spiritual people. I was not surrounded by somebody explaining to me about the realm and the higher self and this and everything else. And if somebody had at that point in time, I would have looked at them and thought, what the hell are you talking about? I'm sorry, I don't speak the same language as you. And I would have walked in the opposite direction. So it's about speaking it in a language that people or the person you're speaking to will understand, and being respectful of their own journey and the amount of time it may take them to open up to this. So part of, everything I do it at the level that they're at. And because I've lived in both worlds, the logical, because that's where I spent a majority of my life, and then the spiritual part, which, I'm now very much in tune with, I'm able, and also because of my background in being a trainer, consultant, things like that in the technical world, I'm able to kind of speak both languages of translating the spiritual to the non-spiritual, and the non-spiritual to the spiritual kind of thing, but give them both viewpoints so they get a 360 of what they actually is going on. But it's hand-holding. Sometimes it is hand-holding. Other times people are just ready to run because they're already there, which is so much more easier. But either way, it's just allowing them to kind of go, just trust yourself more. Forget about any higher self, that self, what self, because sometimes it's just like saying to them, just trust yourself. Trust that person that is saying to you, no, please don't do this, rather than go, yeah, no, but it's going to be okay. I can fix this guy. I'll get him to do what I want to do. And life is going to be, perfect white picket fence and all of that, when actually something really does not feel right. So if I can, accomplish that part, and for them to acknowledge that that's the path they followed, then yeah, that's a huge step in their own opening up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, for someone who is at that, what I refer to as unconscious state, where they're just all physical, right? There's no spiritual connection at all,
Yeah.
but they're to that point where they're like, I should be farther along in life. I should be married with a white picket fence already.
Yeah.
How do you help them to transition from being completely unconscious of anything more than physical to help them to realize you need to tap into this intuition?
Well, it's kind of talking the logical language rather than the spiritual language to them. Because sometimes you're working, and I suppose this is where Reiki comes in. I do an advanced healing to Reiki now, but that's where, if you look at the concept of Reiki, it's about you just doing the healing for the client, as opposed to the client being conscious of whatever's going on. They're just kind of relaxing and just allowing and trusting that you're doing the work for them, and somehow their subconscious is tapping into everything that you're doing for them, and then they thank you, and then they walk out the door, and they may be none the wiser of anything you've done for them. That kind of applies to the people who are more conscious than, unconscious or subconscious, whatever you want to call it. It's basically me doing the work, in the sense that I'm guiding them. So I'm giving them the tools, but I don't necessarily have to keep on plugging into them that actually you need to tap into your subconscious. You need to start trusting the universe. You need to start, because if they're not open to these kind of words or language, then it means nothing to them. Mm-hmm. But if I'm saying to them, okay, where have your expectations been? What are your expectations? What do you think is causing your block? Because a lot of the, white picket fence, roses, 2.4 children, all of that comes down to people's expectations of the way they see life should be turning out. Mm-hmm. So if you're showing them that actually that's not realistic, that's man-made, and that's what we've set up for our own security and control, then you're opening them up to actually somehow tap into that intuition without realizing that that's what they're doing, because they're beginning to, maybe for the first time, look deeper in themselves, ask those deep questions that they'd probably not thought of before. And, because they've always thought of, oh, something's going wrong, it's him, it's me, it's, everything else, but never actually looking at that pattern. So it's actually being able to kind of respect where they at and speak both languages, so that you're not pushing somebody who's just not ready to be pushed. It's no point pushing somebody into the deep end when they can't swim, because that you're not helping them at all.
Absolutely.
So it's doing a lot of that. But I get a mixture of clients. So, some are at that point where, as I said, they're completely and totally open. They speak that language and it's easy, and I'm just really guiding them, and then I can do the deeper work. For other people, I end up doing the deeper work as you would as a healer, without them actually realizing that's what you're doing. But the results are indirectly the same, because I don't have to be always talking to the conscious mind. I am talking to the subconscious anyway. And that's where the depth of the work comes from, the subconscious mind. So whether that means that you're aware of it or not aware of it, the results and the amount of work is still the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one thing I love about Reiki, is because you can do that work for them without them even having to work on
exactly.
it. a lot of my clients will say, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing is life changing.
Yeah.
And it's just letting Reiki work. Reiki is
Yeah.
such a magical healing power and energy, but it's so gentle. And
Mm.
the client literally gets to just lay on the table and let the energy heal
Yeah.
you, right? Heal the
Yeah.
client.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like it sounds to me like not only are you doing the mental coaching, but you're
Mm.
also using the energetic healing in your practice as well to do the work with and for your
Mm.
clients.
Yeah.
And I think when you bring in that type of healing, where you're doing the talk therapy along with the energetic therapy, that is a form of healing that
Mm.
is unparalleled and untouchable.
Yeah.
Because you can go to a doctor and you can get a pill, you can talk to a
Yeah.
psychologist, and you can do the talk therapy.
Yeah.
But until you get to that energetic realm of healing, it's still there.
Mm.
That you're just dealing with the symptoms.
Exactly. Because when I'm speaking to my clients, it's very much tapping into, because we all complain about, oh, I've got an ache here and my chest is there and I have panic attacks or whatever. And it's kind of allowing them to kind of see, okay, when did that manifest? What was going on in your life? So rather than just kind of going, okay, let me just listen to your body and I'll just heal you, I actually go, no, I want to actually talk to your body. I want to know what that trauma is and I want to help to eliminate it rather than just patch it up. Put a band-aid on it and then kind of put it to one side, because it's about, we need to do the deeper work, because if you're not actually going deep into dealing with that pain, dealing with that rejection, dealing with that, past love that you lost, and forgiveness, which is the biggest thing, but also acceptance, and moving on to gratitude at a later stage. It's all about taking them through those steps in that journey so that they can completely and fully let go of that trauma. And a lot of it is about broken relationships, expectations that just weren't fulfilled, peer pressure, cultural pressure, parental pressure, so much, society pressure, friends getting married, having children, you're not part of that, you're left on the shelf. So there's just so much that gets piled on throughout the years that people think, oh, I'm coping, I'm absolutely fine because I'm moving forward, I'm still looking for somebody, I'm still, wanting to have that life. But actually, they're carrying the debris. It's kind of like, a tsunami. When it starts off, it's all clean and everything, but as it crashes through everything, all of that debris is, being pulled with it. And that's basically what happens when a person has gone through a breakup or a relationship. That, yes, when they were in the relationship, it may have been all lovely and all of that, and then all of a sudden the breakup happens, and it's like, oh my god, what the hell happened? And then, in more than not circumstances, breakups are not easy. They're not, wonderful that people walk away and they're best friends for life, kind of thing. They can be traumatic. They can bring a lot of baggage, because when that relationship goes, all your hopes and dreams go with it. So if you had seen that person as the person you were going to get married to, you were going to have children with, a family, all of that, that's where the hurt comes in, because it's all of those unmet expectations and dreams that you had as an individual, not necessarily, it might have been at one time with your partner, but you've drifted. So, but it's more of that individual letdown that you feel that, you're carrying kind of with you. And that can cause massive blocks, because a lot of the clients who come with me have those blocks where they stop trusting and having faith that actually they can have a better relationship, and they can have a relationship again, that they can find love, and that somebody will love them. They start making excuses of, oh, I'm too old, I'm way past it, I keep finding the same person, I'm never going to find the right one. And all of those are your debris that you've been carrying and not wanting to let go of, because it gives you that comfort zone. It gives you
Right.
that wonderful blanket of where certainty, and you don't want to go into
Absolutely.
uncertainty. So,
Absolutely. It's not comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Just leave me in my blanket. I know how to be miserable. I can cope with
Yeah.
misery because I know what misery looks like. But oh my God, thinking that I might actually be happy, that looks a bit confusing because I haven't seen it for a long
Right.
time, so I don't trust it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if people want to work with you, if they're like, I need some Ambila, I can't
Ambila.
say it, Ambila in my life, where can they find you?
I am most active on Facebook. I mean, I do have other mediums of social media, but in the sense of really seeing a lot more of me, best way to connect would be to find me on Facebook, and they can find me under my name, Ambila Nath. Very simple.
Oh, you guys, she is an absolutely amazing woman and healer and coach. And if you are struggling with finding Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, and you know that it's an energetic personal block that is stopping you from finding that person, it sounds like she can get you there. Help you clear the blocks and help you find the love of your life, even if the love of your life is just yourself. So, you guys, contact her, work with her, get a hold of her because she is absolutely amazing and she will be able to change your life. Thank you so much for tuning in to another amazing episode. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of these awesome episodes that we're having.